Play around with different hand positions. See what enables you to squeeze that pec together, really focusing on that middle line, the middle line of the chest. One of the most common questions I get from guys when they're training is, how do I build a bigger chest? Usually the issue is they just can't get a pump in their chest. They usually find that the blood in their shoulders get filled up quicker, or their triceps tend to fatigue more quickly than the pecs can. So one of the things that I recommend is, instead of starting your chest workout with press, either barbells or dumbbells or machines, is to instead start with an isolation exercise. I prefer something like this, which is cables. You could also do dumbbell flies if you like, but the reason I like cables so much is that they give constant tension throughout the entire range of motion. They're not as fixed as a machine, so there's still some variability there, but at the same time, you're able to really concentrate on the entire range of the movement, the squeeze and the stretch, without having to worry about the instability of dumbbells. So I really like cables for most of my exercises anyway, and that's the basic reason as to why. So what you want to do is, at the beginning of your chest workout, start with an isolation exercise. Like I said, a cable fly is really good, or cable crossovers can also be done really well. Just make sure your form is good. And the way to ensure that your form is good is to always make sure that your chest is up, your scapula is a little bit retracted, and the scapula should lay on the bench if you're on a bench. If you're standing, you still want to keep that scapula retracted and the chest held high. And this will ensure that the front delts don't take over the movement. Okay, so let's show you exactly what I'm talking about. And once we don't need really heavy weight for this. We're going to use this exercise as more of a warm-up to get the chest ready for the other exercises, to kind of prime it, so that when we're doing our presses and things, that we really can focus more easily, get a better mind-muscle connection to the pectorals. So it looks like this. So I've got my back slightly arched. My bum is touching the back of the pull my shirt down there. It's touching the back of the backrest, and my scapula is also touching the backrest. Get a nice full stretch at the bottom. You don't want to overstretch. If this is your first exercise, you're not really warmed up, just be careful. Be mindful of your own flexibility. And then we're going to bring it up and we're going to squeeze. And what I recommend is really squeezing the pecs at the top of the movement. Play around with different hand positions. See what enables you to squeeze that pec together, really focusing on that middle line, the middle line of the chest. That's where you want to feel that really nice squeeze. Okay, so get it up, we squeeze. I actually like to put the knuckles of my index fingers together on this particular exercise. That gives me a really nice upper pec squeeze. If I do more of the fingers together, I'm going to feel it more in the middle. And the really cool thing about cables is that I can actually change where the focus is simply by lowering my hands slightly. So we go from way up here and squeezing like this to get an upper pec squeeze. It's where a lot of guys find that they're most weakly developed in the pectoral, is that upper. So that's why I tend to focus on that. But if you want, then you can go more to the middle, and then you can even, if you're feeling daring, go right to the bottom. Now I'm talking to you, so my head is up. My head should be back while I'm doing the exercise. So I'll kind of show you. I'll talk to you without looking at the camera. So we got the upper, boom, middle, lower pec, lower, middle, upper. Now, if we're just using this exercise to prime the pecs, then we can do 3 or 4 sets, very light. anywhere from 15 to 20 reps. You could even make this the first exercise of your chest workout. And for guys that have weak chests or trouble really focusing on their chest development, I do recommend starting with this. So you would train like a normal kind of style. We'd start with a light weight, slowly, progressively increase the weight until you're, fourth set when you go at your kind of maximum weight, and then move on to your presses. Now, the ego needs to take a little check here because you will be much weaker on your pressing movements, but that's okay. That's okay. We're after chest development, not necessarily chest strength. So of course, we're talking about hypertrophy training versus strength training. If you're a power lifter or something like that, then perhaps this kind of training is not really for you because you just want to focus on the lifts themselves. But for anyone looking for pectoral development, give this a try. Start with an isolation movement. Once again, a cable fly or a cable crossover. Remember to keep your chest nice and high, your scapula retracted. Use nice fluent movement, always under control. A good squeeze, hold the squeeze for 1 or 2 seconds, really feel it, then go down into the stretch, feel the nice stretch, feel things slowly loosen up through the pecs. This is another thing that can tend to make our pecs a little bit short and not as well developed, is if we don't use the full range of motion, if we don't get the stretch, because we can tend to get a little bit of scar tissue in there, and that scar tissue brings those shoulders forward. Plus, we're looking at our phones all the time. That once again brings our shoulders forward. And if you're a person who doesn't have a whole lot of confidence, which is a lot of us because we're not taught how to be confident, we can often even walk a little bit with our shoulders forward, and all that causes a shortening of the pectoral muscles. So we really want to stretch. We really want to feel that open up and really concentrate on walking with the chest held high, and really work the full range of motion when you're training. And another little tip for you too, which I really like, which has to do with all scar tissue and things, is at the end of your chest workout, hold a weighted stretch. So grab some dumbbells, or you can do it on a machine like this, where you can load up the weight and just hold in a stretch position, and hold it and try to count to, I like to hold for a count of 100, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, till I get to 100. And boy, that stretch sometimes can be as painful as the exercise itself. So give that a try. Hopefully those tips help you develop your pecs better. Hoorah! Hoorah!